Hello, dreamers, and welcome back to the show. I'm going to go ahead and skip most of the usual intro so we can get right into this. This is the second half of the interview that investigators conducted with Sherri Papini in her home just days after she reappeared after having gone missing for 22 days in November of 2016. Episodes 280 and 281 are the first half of the interview and some commentary and reaction to some key points in that half, and we're going to do the same for the second half. And then after this, we're going to follow up with episode 283, which will be, again, our reactions and commentary on what Sherri had to say in this portion of her interview. All right, I'm going to start playing it now.
The real horse, if you go and ride it. Do the sidewalk. Well, I think we are ready to get started. If everyone else is ready. Solid. Yeah. Are you comfortable enough?
Yep.
All right.
This is incredible.
What's that?
This is very good.
You good? All right.
Yes, great.
Fire, you fell asleep in that chair already? Today's date's Tuesday, November 29th, 2016. It's 12:31 hours. Brian Jackson here with Sherri Papini, Keith Papini, Kyle Wallace, Angie...
Mellis.
What's that?
Mellis.
Mellis from the D's office. Well, I'll start us off a little bit and you can take it up from there. But obviously, from yesterday, we kind of ended with you giving Kyle a very good description of the layout of the room that you were in. And we took a break for some photographs, and then we shut it down just for fatigue. So I don't know, like we said yesterday, this process is all about how you want to regurgitate stuff and give it to us. I mean, we do have some questions, obviously. But as far as getting started today, I don't know if yesterday jogged some more memories or if there's things you want to add. But basically, we could just start with you at whatever point you want to pick us up and continue on. If you're okay with that, you go?
Yeah.
All right. Whenever you're ready.
I thought you were going to ask me a question.
Would you like some questions?
Sorry.
No, we can do some questions if you like, if you want to start that way.
I think that's probably best.
Okay. Well,
There's a lot of everything, so I don't know where to go or...
Well, then let's... Well, yesterday when we started talking, we talked throughout the day, and we never... I have a note here that we never touched the topic of your hair being cut. Is that something we can talk about now?
Yes, if you would like to.
Yes. If you could.
What's your question? Where would you like me to go in that direction?
How did your hair end up getting cut during this ordeal?
Like what led to it?
Yes.
I'm not sure. I keep trying to think about that. I think okay, I'm not sure what led up to it, but the cable that was where the cable was attached at the top, anytime you made a movement or moved it, it made a really loud noise. So when I would make noise, they would rush in to the room. And that's generally where I'm trying to remember that day. Everything Like, what specifically made that happen? I think I was trying to make the bed. I want to say I was smoothing out a blanket, and it made that noise.
Indicated
yes.
plank or whatever.
I think that's why. I don't think there was anything else, because there wasn't anything in the trash can, so it was. I don't feel like it was time for that. Maybe. I want to say it was just because there was a noise. The bigger one came in. I dropped to the floor. The bigger one came in. I had my hair pulled back already. I had already had my hair pulled back. I think it was my original hair tie. Like, I don't feel like that was ever removed. Like,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I was wearing the same hair band.
From that you put
From
on
running.
when you went running.
Yeah, but I mean, I never actually like took it out and looked at it, but I don't recall that ever being removed.
Okay.
They said something in Spanish to each other. The other one was outside the room. I was hit here on the shoulder. And then it was a yank backwards.
Gotcha.
It's a yank backwards. I feel like it happened really fast, but not. I don't know.
That's fine.
And then it was after she cut it. She had it in her hand. I was down, she was over me, had it in her hand, and then I felt it here. Like, I felt like that blunt edge, because she had cut it above my hair tie. Felt it here, and she said, "I'm going to send it to your mother," or "I'm going to send this to your mother. I'm going to send it to your mother." I can't remember exactly, but "I'm going to your mother." And I remember when she was cutting it, it was very upsetting. And then she said that, and I kind of went, and it was one of those moments where it was emotional for me that she was cutting my hair. And I feel like her saying that almost pulled me back into survival mode, I guess. It also made me feel like she didn't know me as a person, and that was it.
Where did your hair, the hair that was cut off, where did it end up?
I have no idea. I certainly didn't have. She left, so.
That's a fair answer. I mean, if you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
Do you recall what they used to cut your hair?
I didn't see anything. I never saw anything.
Do you hear any sounds like
Like
scissors,
clipping?
like a scissors would make?
Yeah.
Or anything like that? And if you don't know, if you can't think about it,
I can't.
don't push yourself.
I can't remember exactly.
Okay.
Like whether it was like a snipping sound or just a. I can't remember exactly.
Okay.
Do you remember if she had to leave the room and then come back?
She didn't come back.
Okay.
The other
So
one
they-
came back, but she didn't come back.
Okay. And you just for small time references, not big ones. Was this before or after the burn on your arm?
This one?
Mm-hmm.
I want to say it was after. I'm pretty sure it was after.
If
I'm
you-
trying to remember if my arm hurt that day. No. I think it was after.
And then before or after the burn on your back, if you can remember. If not, don't worry about it.
Before.
Okay.
You've made a couple references yesterday and today about the cable making a noise or a loud noise. Is it a metallic, like metal on metal, like a clank? Okay, we never really clarified that.
We have a bolt in our garage, and I was able to touch that, and it was very.
Oh, back to reference
That's
to the
what
pole?
it felt like. Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
I don't know if that's called a bolt. Sorry, I don't.
Yeah.
Anyway, I touched it. That's what it felt like. And I mean, I had scratched my hands, but that was so early in the beginning. I mean, I have like little scars and stuff somewhere and, under fingernails and things, but yeah, it was really hard to get a good grip on it because it was sharp.
Sharp as in, it felt like it was like cutting you or just hurt when you touched it? I know we touched upon it yesterday, but you mentioned that you touched something in your garage.
Yeah.
And it's, it's just, that's like an all thread type bolt. It was just sensitive to the touch, or did it feel like it was going to cut you?
Well,
like
I mean, I was
blade or
gripping
something.
it very hard.
Gotcha.
I mean,
Gotcha.
yeah, I was gripping it hard. I don't know how to answer that. Sorry.
You did fine. We'll
Yeah.
move on from that.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Kyle.
That's all I have regarding the hair.
What?
So obviously, we've talked about it a couple of different times. So when you made noise, they immediately would come in. Was there ever a time where you made noise and they never came in?
No, I don't think so. I mean, there was maybe once where I made a slight, but then I'd freeze. But no, it was pretty much almost every time. Almost every time.
Was there any time where you felt that you were in the room and you were the only person in the house?
No, because you could almost, it was almost like you could feel the movement of the house, or even, because there was times where the radio or whatever it was that was outside was blaring quite loudly, where they'd still hear me somehow, and they'd still, the radio would be super loud, and I would try to do something by using that as some kind of muffle, like when I pulled the screw out of the wall of the outlet, that muffled the sound of that, and then I had it in my hand, and I could use it without moving the cable. I could use that to pick at that lock on the bed. If I had the chain here and held it with my legs, I could use the screw without moving the cable on there, without making any noise. But to answer your question, I don't think so. I don't think so. I could sometimes hear a door. I feel like the vehicle was nearby that window, because I could hear the vehicle. And maybe there was times where I couldn't hear it, but I did hear it, rather. Maybe there's times I didn't hear it every time, but there was times where I could hear it.
When you're referring to hearing the vehicle, what do you mean?
A door shutting, and that crunchy, gravelly noise that tires make when it's backing or forwarding on something that is not pavement.
Do you have any recollection of exhaust sounds or engine noise?
Honestly, I would be terrible at that anyway.
Did you ever
Car-wise.
Driving down the road, you see, a larger vehicle and it has a growling noise, or it's just,
I feel like if I maybe heard something, that would be a little easier for me, but it was not a distinguishable noise, if that's what you're asking. Yeah. I don't know. I think I honestly, it's not a distinguishable noise. I heard the sound of the door shutting, I feel like that would be, I was listening for more than the engine noise or exhaust. Is that what you were saying?
I just didn't know, like, say if there was any time where you were either laying down or you were quiet in your room and then you heard a vehicle start up. Did you ever hear a vehicle start up, and if so, what did it sound like? I don't know is an okay answer.
I don't know. I think it just sounded like I didn't hear any like extra clanging or anything, or like I don't know.
Okay.
I would say it just sounded like a normal vehicle. That wasn't something I acutely paid attention to either.
Fair enough.
Did you ever hear multiple doors opening or closing at the same time?
On the car?
Yeah.
No.
So it was only ever
One door at a time. I remember listening for that.
And at a time, we're meaning every time the vehicle would leave, it would be one door closing, as opposed to, obviously not everybody closing and opening the door at the exact same time. Right?
No, because I feel like you'd still be able to hear that it was two doors.
I just wanted to clarify those.
Sure.
No, one at a time. So every time the vehicle would leave or come back, it was always only one door opening or shutting.
Yes.
Okay. You referenced earlier the radio outside. Where was the radio outside?
I never actually saw it, but I want to say near the door. I mean, the sound was coming from where the door was located, but I never actually saw it physically.
But the radio outside of the door, but still remaining inside of the residence.
Correct.
Okay. Were there any times, you said the majority of the times when either of the females would come in, there's usually both of them were there. Were there any times where it was just one of them?
No. Well, that's hard to say because I would be on all fours with my head down. Yeah, that's hard to say. But, well, they would talk to each other, so I knew the other one was close by. Ask me your question again.
Are there times where you believe that only one of the females was inside the room at times, as opposed to them both
Inside the
being
room, yes. But there would always be one nearby.
Okay.
But inside the room, one at a time, yes.
Did either, so let's say during their hitting or being violent towards you, is there any time that one of the females would try to stop the other one?
Yes.
Can you describe some of those moments?
The younger one, I feel like because I couldn't understand her, but I feel like her body language was the pointing and very, or this is a, body language wise. It doesn't matter what language you speak. I mean, I was never allowed to look them in the face, but I did see this signal with her hand facing that way, which is stop, obviously, but, sorry, this is making my stomach hurt. That the little one, the bigger one was very forceful, and it just, to me, the little one would defend herself and do what was asked, maybe? I don't speak Spanish, but I feel like the bigger one enjoyed it and the little one did not. Does that make any sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely, the things like the burn, cutting my hair, the burn on my arm, the chain, the lock, that was all from the bigger one. It was not from the little one. The little one would feed me most often. the little one's the one that I said with the trash can. She was the one that would stand in the doorway at the shower.
What'd you usually eat?
She was the one that would bring in the clothes also. The bigger one never did that. You're asking a question.
Sorry.
Sorry, no, that's okay, because this is making my stomach hurt anyway, so.
What'd you eat? Or what'd they give you to eat?
What's it called again, babe? I keep forgetting the name of that. Cream of wheat. But it was like dry, like barely mixed. And rice, tortillas. One day I got 2 apples, a cracker, but they were weird. They were like, I want to say they were kind of like animal crackers, but not really. They definitely, certainly didn't taste like animal crackers. They weren't anything that I'd ever seen before. I hid those. Anything that wasn't, and sometimes it was like scraps, like the fat off of a piece of meat or something, like they had just scraped it off of a plate. More often than not, it was just rice or, I keep forgetting the name.
Cream of wheat?
Thank you. Sorry.
I'm listening.
Yeah. Or a tortilla, like a corner or something like that. Or one time it was a piece of bread, like the end piece, the end piece. I feel like it could have been wheat bread, but it was the end piece. That's kind of hard to say.
Store-bought or?
Yes.
Here's a dumb question for you. Do you recall if the apples had a sticker on them?
No. They were waxy.
The red apples?
I
Did they
would
taste?
say they were like that shade between red and green. Like, I don't want to say they were like all the way, because there's the apples that are round and then they have the bump on the bottom. They were fully round, and they were that in between red and greenish, and they were waxy and mealy and bruised. But
Did they give
because
you,
I tried to suck all the water out of them.
did they give you any food or plates or utensils that you can recall had any stamping,
Never
manufacturing?
utensils. There was never utensils. It was always either a paper towel or like the not a styrofoam plate, not the wax coated plate, like the actual like really super cheap paper plate with like the ridges.
Yeah, little pleats or whatever.
Thank you. Yes.
Do you remember what style of rice? Like,
Steamed white rice. Sometimes it was a Spanish rice. It definitely tasted like it was like a homemade Spanish rice. I've made Spanish rice before even, so it definitely, because I make the box Spanish rice more often than not, and it didn't taste like that. But it was always gritty. And there was one time where I like tried to pick it apart, but to look for something.
Did you eat regularly or just sporadically, or did they bring you food? Was it?
No, it was maybe once a day, but it was hard because I feel like every time I would somewhat get on a routine to exercise my mind of this is the time of the day, because my body was starting to get hungry at the same time. I was always hungry, but like I would exercise at the same time and I would try to get a routine down. It would change as soon as I feel like maybe. See, it's hard because I feel like sometimes I felt like it was the next day, but then it could have been the same day, or it felt like a day had gone by, but then it didn't, because I would wake up at different times and I would fall asleep at different times. And then it would be, did I exercise already? I'm pretty sure I did that. but I don't think it was more than once a day. It was certainly not every day, but I don't know. I don't think it was more than once a day. But again, days were difficult because I didn't sleep. It wasn't like I got up at certain time. I don't even know anything about time, but there was a lot of sleeping for me, and that's one of the. I don't. The sleeping made it difficult to keep track. Everything I tried to keep track of, there was no way to do it. I don't know. I think it was once a day, maybe every other day.
In the room, did you make any markings or scratches on the floor, wall, or anything while you were there?
No.
No, you know what I'm talking about as far as anything known for markers?
I mean, there's that screw.
Mm-hmm.
There's the screw in the wall. There's, no, I mean, at one time I tried to pull up the carpet, but I stopped because I figured, what's the point if I can't get off the cable? In the closet at the back of the wall, but I stopped myself. But no, as for like marking and stuff like that, no, I did not.
You touched on water a little bit. How did you get water? What was that?
There was a plastic bottle of water with no label on it. Every time, anytime, I feel like I only remember 2 showers, but I drank a lot of water every time I was in the shower. I'm trying to remember the moment I got the bottle of water, because I was allowed to have a bottle of water, which I rationed, but I don't remember.
Did they ever refill?
I want to lean towards the end when I had it.
Did they ever refill it, or how did that?
Yes. Yes, and that would happen too when the trash was changed over. But there was only one time I recall actually seeing the trash being removed. It was always that really yucky feeling of waking up and knowing they had been in the room, but me not remembering it.
You touched on some exercise stuff. What type of exercises could you do without the chain rattling or anything like that?
So if I had it tucked between my legs, I could pull it tight with no slack, and this was here, and I could, because there was a tail to it, and I could wrap that here, and then I would do one side, and then I would do here, pull it tight, and do the other side. I mean, I don't know how to explain to you other than demonstrating how I had this tucked under here and would do, these and...
No, that makes sense to me.
What?
It makes sense to me. I got it.
Yeah,
And pulling it tight is just to keep the chain from clanking against the pole.
correct.
You said you exercised your mind. What were you doing? What were you doing then?
I would sing the song I sing to Violet. I would read the books I read to my children. I can hear my husband. I would mouth things he would sing in your Christmas carols and the random jingles he would sing in our kitchen. A lot of times it was, if Keith was here, what would Keith do? If Keith was here, what would Keith do? I would try to go over shows in my mind. shows that we, thank you, sorry, shows that Keith and I would watch to try and get some kind of gauge of time. How many times I sang the ABCs, even. Yeah, I would mouth lines from New Girl. And talk to my husband. And talk to my babies. I feel like when I talk to my babies, it would make me hold on more.
I heard a story where you would use your sweatshirt as a, can you tell me about that?
It was a sheet. And I rolled up the sheet and I sang to it like my Violet. When Violet goes to sleep, I rock Violet on this arm. And I sing to her before I lay her down. And I did that before I would go to sleep sometimes.
Or do you use that as like manipulation to the other women? Is that something that happened?
They never saw that. That was something I would do in the room by myself. Sorry?
Gotta ask, how does that do with the broken nose? I saw it yesterday.
It's so much better. It's sore. Yeah, it's very sore. It's really only sore here now, but I feel like when I start crying, it starts swelling more. But it's a good sore.
Yeah. You want to take a break for a little bit?
What? The camera would like me to take a break.
I think there's some more wood on. Was that the beeping? I'm beeping somewhere.
What? I feel like that's what beeped.
That sounds like a fire extinguisher somewhere. And then I heard maybe the alarm.
Yeah, I heard something beep, beep, beep. Way off.
Yeah, it sounded like it was. And it can be like mid-July and Keith will sing Christmas carols. Or like his...
It's now 107.
Technology. It's just I don't want to have to do it when I got other things on my mind.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't want to be listening to you and then hear that off and go, oh, what does that mean?
It's okay. A little break is nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that one was a tough one. I don't want to talk about my kids today anymore.
And we can skip it.
Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Talking?
Are you?
Okay. Yeah. I feel like it was the silence and the dark and the silence that really made me not okay. Everything else, I made it through, and I could do it. It was the silence and that dark room and that everyday feeling like something else is coming and not knowing, that anxiety of there's this something else is about to happen and not knowing that something else was about to happen.
Well, there's no doubt that your strength, obviously you're here, and that strength was able to hold you, put you through that. So I hope that means something to you, that your internal strength and drive allowed you to get where you are today. I think again, that's a new topic that's been surfacing in the world about you, other than everything else. But you resolved, so that's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
Were there any times where the music wasn't on for
Yes.
periods? For were they consistent? Like, so like, let's say maybe it like cued like that they were going to bed, so they would turn off the music, or was there any consistent time? Was that seemed to have been in a routine of some sort with the music coming on and on?
No. I no, I don't think so.
Do you think the music was the music ever tied to you hearing car doors shut?
I don't think so. Because I would carefully listen for that, like if it was trying to cover that up. No, that's when a lot of the injuries occurred, because it was always when I would think they weren't there. I would attempt movement and things, and occasionally it took them longer to get to where I was, but no, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I remember you
Because
touched.
it was different. It was different all the time. Continue. What was your question?
I remember you talking about yesterday that you could hear the TV on parts every once in a while.
Mm-hmm. Because the radio wasn't on the whole time.
Yeah. So with those TV, do you remember any commercials, anything that would signify?
No, because I kept falling asleep. It was Spanish something or other, and then I would fall asleep. I feel like for me it was, thank God she's sitting down and watching TV, and it was a moment where I would just rest, I think. Yeah, the radio was terrifying. The sound of the radio was scary to me, but the TV was, I feel like I would just kind of and rest a little more.
But probably like just on primarily Spanish, very rarely English TV, or ever English.
There was
TV?
never English.
Okay.
There was never English. But the TV was not on often. It was a rare that I actually heard a TV. It wasn't very loud. Maybe there could have been English and I just didn't hear it very well because it wasn't very loud.
Was there anything? We talked about a lot of the bruises that become like the bruises from the injury, or them injuring you regarding like making noise. We've talked about the burn marks on your arm. Is there any, besides the one on the back that we'll have to talk about eventually, but is there any other, because it looks like your legs, do you know how you received most of those injuries on your legs?
No, but even originally before then, I bruise really easily.
Mm-hmm.
So it could have even been something that I possibly could have done. But no, because it was a lot of, like this one, I feel like was this, or it was a lot of blocking or kicking, or, and I don't, she had, the bigger one would hold something. I'm trying to remember feeling, it was a lot of hitting with something, not punching or shoving. I didn't like being in the closet. It was a lot of shoving around the closet area.
Do you remember specifically being kicked?
I'm sorry.
Being
the
kicked?
fire popped it.
Yeah.
Kicked?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't remember, or if we did or didn't talk about yesterday about your nose. on how that occurred?
I was woken up by it, and I can't remember if it was like this or if it was like that, but I was woken up by it.
So you were sleeping?
Correct, on the bed.
Was there anything? What happened right after that?
I was woken up. I was told to change.
And you were woken up with the pipe, I'm assuming.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, whatever. I was told to change. There was already clothing on the bed. I felt so dizzy. My ears were ringing. When I tried to put the sweatpants on, I fell over.
Were you exchanging clothes at that time? Or were you getting completely dressed?
Yes. I had clothes on already and put on the clothes that were on the bed. Is that your question?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm just trying to help focus and not try to dwell on all the, if that helps or not. I'm assuming it was bleeding. How did you clean that up?
It was already on the other, this, and it was on the other clothes. I did one of these numbers. It didn't bleed very much. Didn't bleed, yeah, it really didn't bleed very much. It wasn't like gushing blood.
Did any of that end up on the walls or on the floor, or?
I would assume so. I mean, there wasn't anything that I know of on the walls, but gosh, I don't know. Well, okay, did that. Ouch, that's sore.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. It had to have been on the floor because I set the sweater down. So to answer your question, yes, it has to be on the floor. It wasn't profusively bleeding, so I wouldn't say that it was dripping onto the floor. It was I was focused more on my eyes because I couldn't see. Yeah, it really didn't bleed that much. I'm doing this. I feel like I was doing that a lot. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was this very like.
Your eyes are watering.
Yeah.
Is there any other injuries that we haven't touched upon besides the obvious?
No, I mean things that I did with the zip ties or the pulling, breaking my fingernails on things, but no, I didn't see them very often. There was a lot of alone, just alone.
You're talking about alone. Were they in the
room
house?
by myself. Me in the room by myself.
Was it any time did you feel like that you were left alone at that location where they may have gone off-site for an extended period of time?
No. Anytime I thought that I was alone, I would end up making noise in some way or another. And
Never seemed like somebody was on the premises?
yes. There would be times where there would only be one opening the door at a time. So I feel like there could have been a time maybe there was just one there. There had to have been times there was only one there because there was a fireplace. So you would have to go outside to get wood, right? So there had to have been times there was only one.
And the vehicle leaving.
Right. And I mean, even stocking up, I'm sure, I don't know, maybe there was a grocery, I mean, you would have to go to a grocery store or something. at some point. I would think. I don't know.
I'm going to go through a list of some things, and it's going to require hearing. So however you want to access that part of your brain. Usually when I try to hear something, I close my eyes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes, no's, I don't knows are all fine answers.
Right?
Farm animals,
No.
cows, horses,
No.
chickens,
No.
equipment, farm equipment,
No.
tractors,
No.
buses,
No.
UPS truck.
No.
Am I going too fast?
Nope.
Passing vehicles,
No.
chainsaws,
No.
train,
No.
train whistle,
Nope.
honking,
No.
geese honking,
No.
doorbell,
No.
telephone,
No.
Now that you're listening, do you recall any other sounds that I haven't?
The
asked?
fireplace, the creak, the door, the creaky door to the fireplace, the flushing of a toilet. Pots and pans in a kitchen. Garbage disposal. Some kind of,
Airplane,
no, some kind of like ticking, clicking, doing something that requires a ticking or a clicking, or the radio. The TV.
I have a sound to ask about.
Go ahead.
Long distance gunshots, like shotguns from people bird hunting.
No.
Have you ever heard? Do you know what sound I'm referring to?
No. Yes, I have, and no. Yes, we live in Mountain Gate on occasion.
I imagine you probably heard a few long distance gunshots, so I figured. I didn't want to assume because assuming means something, but
We saw some bucks in the other day.
Wow.
Dear.
In my yard.
We were going somewhere and we all stopped. Like,
they're wall hangers. I mean, where that whitetail is around here, that muley is, they're that class of buck.
We were all out one night. I was out hiking, behind the looking. We came back and we're all sitting there, and it like 15 feet away from us, and it just walked right by us. My buddies are all, but they didn't want to stop.
They're so annoying because they eat everything.
Yes, they do.
Everywhere. And then that motion to censor thing that we have, bing bong, bing bong. I'm like,
From our
get
yard.
out of the way, the bing bong.
Our dog has like a wireless fence though, and they know that he has to stop now.
Oh yeah.
So he just walks around, knows it's cool, and my dog's like, come step over the line, buddy.
Back to the sounds. School bells,
No,
alarms,
no,
sirens,
no,
nothing outside the house other than what you've already talked about as far as that you can recall.
footsteps. There was I could hear the wood being brought in. I know that sound, the clink of like stacking wood, but never a chainsaw, an axe.
Okay.
Running water,
Yes.
running water, like a river or
Oh, I thought you meant like the sink or the shower. The toilet.
Yes.
Yeah.
I finally got
Got it.
I finally hit a winner.
We're next
Toilet.
to a river in Redding, they're in California.
Yeah, no, I thought you meant sorry, having sink water. A pebbly brook, no.
Have you ever lived in a subdivision? So like all like the normal sounds that maybe we're not listening to, but like you're always hearing, anything like that? That's because now you live in the country as opposed to when you
So
have
pretty noisy room you live in. But yes,
But
I
you
did.
have the two
yes.
different, the ambient that you never really, you feel.
Okay, so have you been to my parents' storage facility?
Yes.
I lived in the subdivision right behind that.
Okay. So do you feel, based on what you were hearing, or lack of hearing, do you feel that you were more rural side or more like out country, or even more isolated, more than just country, or like your neighborhood now, old neighborhoods you've lived in?
I listened for neighbors, cars, things. I heard nothing. I heard the birds.
What kind of birds?
We haven't gotten the app open yet, but I know I heard a flicker because I know what the flickers
Did
sound.
a flicker where you were, or a flicker on the road before you got taken?
Flicker from the window in the room. And then other smaller birds. I will listen to some for you. I apologize that I can't
No, you're
remember the names of them. I will listen to some for you. I don't recall hearing like the breeze through like a tree or like the creak of a tree or anything. I don't recall any of that. A quail.
Do you hear any barking dogs?
No. I did on the last day. That was scary.
What do you mean?
On the road. On that road near when I was trying to go to the...
Let's talk about it.
I'm sorry.
Let's talk about
I
that.
interrupted you and talked over you and didn't hear you. Sorry.
Let's talk about that, since it's there in your mind.
Where would you like to begin?
The barking dog?
The barking dog was when I was trying to figure out how to get into... Can I ask you, what was that? Is it a shipping yard? Is it a junkyard? What was that fenced-in area next to the freeway?
Well, there's two. There's like a lumber yard and there's like a propane yard.
Okay, there was I want to say like a modular type of house, or like an office, would have been like an office building.
That's one of the two.
Yeah.
Was it on the same side of the freeway as the church, or on the other side of the freeway?
The opposite side.
That's the propane.
What was that?
Propane place.
Okay, that's where I was trying to get in, but couldn't, and then heard a dog bark and went,
Oh,
nope.
yeah, because that's where the dog is.
Yeah.
Big Doberman.
Oh.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
Doberman.
glad I ran the other direction.
Were you near the front gate, like the entranceway to that place? Or do you know? I mean,
The corner that connected to the street that I was on. There was a house. I went near the house. I stood in front of the house, looked at the house, and went, nope. It was very dark. I want to say there was a mailbox. I think I stood by where there was maybe a mailbox or something, but it was very dark. There was no lights on. It didn't look inviting.
I think I know the house you're referring to. It's on the same side. Well, it's on the west side of the freeway on the front roads that, if you're on the overpass and heading west, I don't know if you know your directions very well.
Not particularly.
On the same side as where the barking dog was,
Yes.
kind of around the corner.
Okay.
Is that the house that you believe you were at?
No, it was on the...
Same street as where the barking dog was? Okay. So once you Once you try to find help in that area, what'd you do next?
Well, I didn't find help.
Right. So, and I'm talking about in that area where the barking dog
Okay,
was,
so,
the creepy house.
there was that creepy house that I left. I went to the fenced area. The entire time I was trying to get the zip tie off.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't reach it with my mouth, so I was trying to. I don't know what this was called. I was trying to use that.
Hose clamp?
Thank you. To get that off. Ran on top of the freeway. It was very difficult because my feet were very cold. My ankles were very wobbly.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very dizzy. I was very, I don't want to say short of breath, but short of breath from the screaming.
Mm-hmm.
And then ran downward, and the on-ramp, off-ramp, there was a truck parked with no lights on.
It's like a big rig?
Yes, and I stood there and stared at the big rig and thought, there's probably someone inside there. Don't think I want to go knock on that door. And then I saw the lights. No, that's not right. I saw the lights to the church before I saw that truck. I didn't know it was a church. Ran down and around, kept losing my breath, and then ran down and around and thought if I could break into something, even if it's a gas station and the police were called, if I could just break into something and be somewhere. But I couldn't. I shook the door and I banged on the door and I looked for windows. There was no windows. And then ran back towards where the freeway entrance was and ran down the on-ramp. I keep wanting to say off-ramp. It's on-ramp. And then just ran as fast as I could until I got to the streetlight. And I still had the pillowcase. Is it a pillowcase?
Mm-hmm.
When I got to the streetlight, I tried to remove the zip tie again and then pulled it tighter. But was waving the pillowcase and screaming, and no one stopped. I was there for a very long time. Until that trucker, I even walked out into the middle of the freeway,
Mm-hmm.
and cars drove around me, like literally drove around me. And then I stepped back and thought, there's a chain around my waist. Perhaps I should tuck this into my pants. That didn't help. It felt like it was a very long time standing there. To me, it felt like it was a very long time. And then that one truck stopped, but stopped aggressively. And then it was just, the trucker got out and I saw him. Am I still going the right direction that you're asking for, or?
You're doing great. I don't want to interrupt you.
And then I started screaming, call 911, call 911. And then he started stepping towards me, and then I got scared. and then I just wanted to talk to Keith. It was like everything after that was just slow, and I just wanted to talk to my husband, and no one would let me talk to him.
Sorry.
It's not your fault.
So let's,
No one would
Kinda.
let me talk to Keith. That was very, it was very frustrating. And I remember falling over several times. I was very dizzy. I was spitting a lot because I screamed until blood came out. And I even said, "There's blood in my mouth. There's blood in my," and he, one of them, I don't know. There's no blood in your mouth.
tree flexing.
I was heating up.
I was heating up, tree flexing a little bit.
That's fun.
That ought to be a party tonight.
Tonight, when that little thing cools back down, we'll make the same noise.
So, talking with Kyle, and that there was some that you recall when you were dropped off in that area. Can you go back to that? And tell us what you remember.
I'm trying to remember whether the car pulled over, spun around. I don't remember feeling any of that. I remember feeling and hearing the clipping. And then, get out. I even hear her accent still with that. And falling out of the vehicle. I don't remember if she touched me, if she grabbed me, if she pulled me. I remember falling. It didn't feel great. I remember falling, pulling, and then seeing the vehicle dark, and then walking, trying to run towards it. I was so dizzy. And then, it was so far away already. And then trying to figure out where I was, where the road was. I chased after the vehicle at first. But I'm sorry.
You're good?
Is that your question?
Yeah, you're answering it. Have you looked at maps?
Yes, Keith and I looked at that. Do you have that?
I have a copy of it too. If
Okay.
you want, we can go over it together.
Sure, if that's what you would like.
It would help us put some pieces together if
Sure.
we're trying to. You're okay with it?
Keith and I have already.
You can look at this and then he's looking at the same
Yes,
thing.
Keith and I have already looked at that.
So let's make sure we're looking at the same thing, because it's right, mine's just smaller.
Yep, that's the same thing. This
Yeah.
one's a little larger than your phone.
I got a bigger phone. This is my work phone.
What do you need from me? What are you looking for
Explain.
answers?
Well, if you can just, I see all the circles here, and I know Keith and you guys have talked about this. So can you explain to me, like, for instance, what's this orange circle mean here?
I believe that to be where the vehicle stopped.
And that's where you got out?
Correct.
Okay. And then looking here at the map, obviously this right here is I-5. Whoops, right?
That's okay. Yep.
And so then there's this red circle here at the corner of,
Where? I think those are, Keith marked them as stopping points,
okay.
right?
Go ahead, Keith.
Talk.
Yep.
These, yeah. So I'll just go through it real quick and then
That's
I
fine.
can explain it. So this is where she believes she was dropped off and the car circled around. Once she was dropped off there, the car, according to her, says it goes this way and it had all the lights off. She then ran this way, passing this house, and that road just got dark.
I started running that way,
Yeah.
following the vehicle.
Yes. Then she said, that's not gonna work. Turned around, came to here. These are basically the steps. If there's a lot of the pink dots, that's because she stayed there for a while, whether it was to take a breath or whatever. She then continued to run back this way. She basically fell from exhaustion and dizziness at this little spot. Then she ran to the shipping yard, what she calls shipping yard. That's where she heard the dog.
It's okay.
Then she ran across and got on basically right in the middle of the freeway on the overpass and tried to get her bearings on where the heck am I, and that's where she saw signs of I-5 and north, and she figured I need to go north. Ran across, she said there was something to do with a parked vehicle right here. Then went across to the church and went all around the church trying to break into that place.
Like, how does a church not have windows?
Well, her windows get broke out all the time.
Gosh.
So then she went a little bit
Because I saw a security camera too, so.
You're on.
You're running pretty quick. You're pretty fast.
Then she ran a little bit further. That's off the picture. Then went all the way down, and there's a street light, and on the GPS picture, there's actually a truck right next to it.
I was running to my husband, so yes, I was running pretty fast.
That's what the dots and the circles mean, if you can go from
Yes, that's exactly right. I mean, that's exactly right. I spent the most time, I would say, here and here. I mean, it really felt like forever on the side of the freeway.
I would say you were probably on the side of the freeway for at least 20, 25 minutes, if not longer.
It felt so long.
Because you left the church at
12 on that time.
You left at 4:12 real time, right?
There was a stop. I mean, there was a stop before I got to the freeway. I did stop once before I got to the freeway because I had to kind of like take a moment, and because when I get that like super, it's that like buzzing in your ears, tingly feeling like if you don't drop to your knees, you're gonna pass out. So there was a stop before I made it to the street light.
Well, you left the field of view.
Light? Freeway light?
Yeah, either one.
Thank you.
You left the field of view of the church at around 4:12. And then the 911 came in at 4:39. So from the church, that's about 100 yards from where when you left the roadway to go on the on-ramp.
Okay.
And you were moving pretty good. So that's why I'm saying you probably were on the freeway for 20 minutes easily, which is sickening, but.
Well, and to me, I felt like it was like early evening because there were so many cars on the road.
Yeah.
It's good.
So.
It's Thanksgiving morning.
Yeah,
But you didn't know that.
No, I thought it was like 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And that's why I felt like that's why there was so many cars on the road.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of traffic at that time.
There was a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
Lady we talked to made it all the way up to Crescent City.
What's that?
One of the ladies who called made it all the way up to Crescent City before she passed you on her way to Crescent City.
Yeah, we talked to her at noon. She was in Crescent City.
As in she called?
No, we called her.
Oh.
She called 911. She was one of the 911 callers, and then we called her.
She
Oh,
saw.
yeah, you told me
She
something.
saw a lady was in the roadway and called it in, but the other.
The one that you've heard about, we talked
Okay.
about. Just a couple of questions. So one of your hands is free, and if I remember right, it's your right hand. But
Correct.
How did that become free?
There was a clipping noise. I'm not sure. But I want to say, I'm not sure, I didn't see it, but I want to say it was probably, what did I feel? I'm trying to think if there was the cable. I didn't hear like the clicking noise that like handcuffs would make, certainly. I feel like it may have been another cable here, under here. I feel like maybe it had been looped under. It was really tight, like it was pulled tight. This itself wasn't very tight, but like I didn't have a lot of pull room.
And how long had that been on?
What?
So how long was your hands to your waist? Was that something new,
Oh, that was new.
Okay.
Oh, you mean the zip tie?
Yes,
Yeah.
the zip tie.
This was new. I don't remember this being put on. I've been searching my brain for that. I don't remember the metal pieces being put on, and that is very frustrating because that's something that I should remember. But I don't remember that part. How they got on, because I couldn't get them off, and that's something I tried to do from the freeway too. That's something that I'm trying to see that I cannot see right now.
Okay. And that's normal. It's okay. As long as you start
It's very frustrating.
I can't imagine. But it is normal. Other people have done the same thing.
Sorry. Continue.
Perfect. So when the zip ties were put, when you were secured to your waist chain, however you want to call it, what was the time between that occurring and you getting in the vehicle?
I have no idea. I don't even remember the zip tie being put onto the chain. Sorry.
That's okay.
I feel like that part is hard. That part is hard to recall for me because that was when I broke down. And I'm having a very hard time dealing with that part because I'm disappointed that I didn't take the moment to try harder to do something else or escape. And it was my moment of breakdown and saying goodbye to my family, and after what I thought was I heard a gunshot and not anyone else, knowing that if I didn't get this stupid cable off, that I think that's a hard time to think about. I'm frustrated with that because I should have taken that moment, and I didn't.
But you
But we're here.
don't beat yourself up over things that you should have done, because what you did do allowed you to get where you are today. So obviously,
Hindsight's 20/20. You did the right thing.
don't Monday morning quarterback things that you did, because what you did do allowed you to get to where you are today. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but I hope you don't let that eat you up for very long. I mean, the feelings that you're having is normal.
I feel like I'm just frustrated because that could have been a moment where I could have done something or
Sure.
gotten her in some way, or
Or it could have been the catalyst for you not being here today. And that same thought,
Could have caused them to do something more and been more aggressive with you where you were. So, I mean, look at it from both sides, you know what I mean? The best you can. I mean, what you did everything right to get you to where you are today. Do you have any questions for me or Kyle right now? We've been asking you a lot for the last hour or so. We'll give you an opportunity real quick to kind of take a live break, but let's not take a hard break, because I think we're moving pretty good and getting some traction, and maybe getting to a point we might be getting done real soon.
Okay.
So if you can, do you have any questions for Kyle and I? Or Keith, do you have any questions for Kyle and I, or things you want to chime in right now?
Oh, yeah.
please do.
Well, let's have Keith take.
Can you talk
let's
a little
Keith
bit,
take the
please?
floor for a few
Yeah,
minutes.
can I take a break and let him talk for a moment?
So just in conversations that we've had, some things that I don't know if they really got touched on. But one thing I know, you have a pretty big injury on your shin. And I thought you kind of remembered something, maybe hitting it maybe on a car on the way in, getting forced in, or being hit. I don't know if you want to talk about that, because I remember the
the one on
doctor.
the right shin, isn't it?
It was on
This
one. I
one's
can't remember.
older.
But I remember the doctor was even, after you looked at it, he was like, oh, this one was a bad one, like a...
It's a hematoma.
or whatever.
Yeah. There's a contusion hematoma, I think is what Dr. Mackey said.
I saw some photos, you touched on it briefly. I saw some photos that looked like you'd been stomped or kicked. And you kind of touched on it, you said that there was some kicking at some point, right? And I noticed...
I know, I'm hoping you guys could get like a shoe print off of it.
Well, we won't be, yeah, that's good.
Definitely where there's some shoe prints.
Yeah,
and I can say that that's a boot print.
There's impressions, but there's no impressions.
But
So if you want, let's clarify some pictures or some injuries, some bruises if you want. Are you cool with that?
I will do my best.
I don't know you
Sorry.
will, but I'm gonna...
Do my best for you, yes.
I have another major thing, but I don't know if you want to wait till this is...
Go ahead, Keith.
The other thing I really thought is towards the last few days or hours, she did notice they were arguing a lot,
Yeah.
and that she feels that she heard a very loud noise and explained it to me like a gunshot. I don't know if you guys spoke
Yeah,
about
we're
that.
clear on, we're clear on that.
And then she did say there was a very bad odor in the vehicle the last day, and she was trying to pinpoint what that odor
Sewagey.
was.
Yeah, it was like sewagey.
In the vehicle, and then obviously there was only one person after that, and ever since she did hear that sound, there was never the other mean lady. Okay.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Did you guys have, prior to all this, maybe in October, September, did you guys have any work done at the house on your roof?
We had 2 people come in our house to do tile, and I have their names, and
Reason I'm asking is I got a tip today,
okay,
582, I believe. It will be, but I'm going to the office. That you folks had some people working on your roof that were Hispanic males. That ring a bell?
yeah. So that's even further back.
Okay. I was told a couple months before this went down. But
So we had, I'll tell you exactly, and I didn't even think about that until just now.
well, that's why we're bringing it up.
Yeah, so there is a, just at my tower, those 2 other people. Prior to that, there's a guy named Tino, and Mexican guy. Tino's painting, I think he had, and I've known him for a very long time because he's related to his wife Cindy, who is Jack. You know, the whole family of people that live out here. And I've known him for quite a while. He came out and I had him paint basically my entire house, and it was extremely cheap in comparison to the other bids I got.
Mm-hmm.
As he was looking at things, it would be like a part of my house, maybe the wood was getting rotten, and he was like, hey, I can fix this for you. And I was like, do it. And my bathroom needed to be redone in the tile, and he had a person working for him who had barely any teeth, just a little old guy, and I ended up finding out, I guess he lives not too far away. James maybe or something, I don't know. He, you know, these wouldn't normally be people I would associate with, but I was paying pennies on the dollar, so I was like, all right. So they came out and they actually worked on my bathroom. He said he can do some tile. He said he can do all kinds of things. So I would work, and they did. So they actually painted my house. They did some tile on my floor. They did some drywall, and they replaced some boards or whatever around my house. I was just paying him whatever kind of he asked. Well, towards the end, he made some major costly mistakes. So it basically came to, hey, I'm not going to pay you for this, and this because I have to rip all this out. My sink still doesn't work all the way out. We can't even take a bath downstairs because they messed up the plumbing. And that's going to cost me thousands of dollars to fix. So he was a little bit upset with that, but after we went through everything he did, I paid him for everything that he did. I just didn't pay him for the other stuff I was going to have him do. And that was basically the end of it. Somewhat recently, I had all these garage mats, like you would put if you're redoing your garage, it's nice rubber mats, and I had a ton of them. And I remember at the time he said, hey, I'll take those. And so did my neighbor, Jack. And I remember I called Tino again, saying, hey, I remember you said you wanted these because I was trying not to be bad blood, but you messed up some lunch stuff. So he never returned that call. And then Jack, my neighbor, of course, he came over his Bobcat and I loaded them all up. So he would be a Mexican guy that I know. I've known him for a very long time, so I would be very upset if he's tied to this. And
I'm not making those assertions, I'm just asking for some
yeah. So yes, he did work on my house, and he did get, and I did pay him to do multiple different types of random stuff.
How many people did you have working for him?
Yeah, one guy that I remember, and then his daughter came to do like at a theater room. She did like the Pink Kelly. I've known her since I was 5.
How about you do that?
No, hate me. I believe his name is James something. I'm almost positive you guys already know about him because it came up with my 18 guys. Because he lives, I can find out everything about this stuff. And he's just a little tiny guy that just probably drinks 1,700 sodas a day, kind of a character.
Not eating, drinking sodas.
Huh?
Not eating, just drinking sodas.
Pretty much, yeah. And all his teeth are just real bad. And he definitely didn't work under any kind of contracting thing. It would have been Tino that held that. But like the electrical, they cut too big a hole, so I couldn't even put a plate around it. My tiles like this, so I couldn't put my sink in. All these things they said they could do, and it was one of those things where I learned my lessons.
The cheapest bid didn't win.
Yeah. So
the tip is specific to a time where there was multiple people working on your roof, and then there was another guy that was there and was bilingual. And he could hear the workers working essentially and saying stuff, and he was able to complain to an actual company. It sounded like so it doesn't sound like
I've had nothing done. I had one guy come out to look at my roof, Metals Direct, and I know that guy, and he looked at my roof, and then because I was going to replace the whole thing, and then he sent out to other companies, like these 2 roofing companies, and they all looked and gave me bids, but I never had any work done on my roof that I can think of at all.
For a time where there was multiple.
Well, it
never
wasn't
a time where I had multiple people at my house, ever.
It wasn't the roof, it was, they did the paneling on the 2nd floor. I don't know if that can be misconstrued as the roof, because they were on the roof
They were on the
point.
2nd story of my house where my bathroom, that little piece that kind of sticks out where the bathroom is, and they did the sides of it, and they took that out and put new boards up and painted those boards.
There was a point when they were on the roof,
Now,
but
I was at work.
White males or Hispanics working on the house?
Tino, the Hispanic, and then the little James guy. Now, I was gone that day, so he could have brought other people.
what about when Toby was there? There was a lot of people when Toby was there. I know it was a long time ago. I'm just saying.
Was there ever a company that somebody that they could complain to? that you can think of?
No. Company.
Well, it's probably just one of those tips.
Yeah.
I get
I had
every day.
I had like a sewage guy come out, but there were two white guys and a bobcat, and they just dug a train. They were there for like real quick.
What about when Josh was building on the side? Is that maybe what someone can be thinking of?
That was like way long time ago. Too.
Right, I'm just
And
saying.
that was my buddy Josh helped build like a storage thing off to the side, but that was the roof.
Or the concrete in the back.
Okay, and concrete, yeah. But, yeah. I haven't had anything done on the roof. Huh? I had a new air conditioning put in. And I feel like,
Well, I'll
It's
follow
not
up
on the
that.
roof though, it's on the side
I'll
of the
follow up on
house.
it when we move on to that. So I have a picture of your legs that I want to show you. I want to see it from your call being kicked or stomped. Sorry, you cool with that?
I would like to say yes.
Cool as cool can be.
Thank you.
I'm looking at your right shin area. Do you remember anything about being injured specifically in this area here on your shin?
Not specifically. No. I feel like every interaction, something was hurt.
Gotcha. So you do recall being kicked or
Yes.
stomped on,
Hit with objects, kicked, stomped on. Yes.
slapped, punched,
Yes.
whatever?
Yes. Never slapped.
Okay.
I don't think.
There's just, there's several forward bruises that you try to interpret and try to figure out. But
Sure.
so we can articulate down the road when we get a hold of people about what, their actions are.
That was it? That was not bad, thank God.
Well, it didn't. You answered enough questions on that one. I got some follow-up questions that I need to get some answers to, if we can, to help close out some of my tips that we've got. Okay?
Do you ever own a
Two questions about
giraffe?
the brain fish.
Go ahead.
So I feel like I have a good enough sense on how the brand occurred. So I don't need the play-by-play. I just have a couple questions if you're okay with that.
Yes. Let's get it over with.
So obviously there's each lettering to it. Was it all at once or was it several different?
It was separate. Different. It was a long period.
Okay. And was that in one extended time period, or was it over multiple days?
It was all done in one extended time period.
And I know that the older one did it essentially.
Mm-hmm.
What was the younger one doing specifically at that time?
She was to the right. I feel like she was the one touching I want to say tools or something. She was
Okay.
the one handling.
Could you hear it or could you see the tool?
I couldn't see it because it was behind me.
Mhm.
Where my head was on the table, I couldn't, that's not really an angle where I could see it.
I don't want
I
you
don't
to...
remember. No, I'm just trying to remember. Was there a clicking? Was there...
Did it...
I remember the sound, give me something.
Just to give you something, I'll give you a pen.
Like that kind of sound. The setting down. Almost. Yes, it's that.
So like more like they were exchanging letters or numbers, or like more...
A metal pan. So the tinking on a metal pan.
Okay.
almost like if you were watching a show where, I apologize with this description, but if you were watching a show where they were removing a bullet from someone and dropping it into a pan, that's what I'm hearing.
I've heard that sound before. That's a very distinct sound.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
Okay.
Vivid. Got it.
Yeah.
And could you hear anything like in the exchange of the letters? So let's say they dropped to E and you could hear that metal ting. Was there any other noises like they were like making the next letter?
That's what I'm trying to remember. Was there a clicking or no?
Okay.
Not that I can recall.
Okay. And that's really all.
It's that tinging. I remember that tinging. But it was also, I feel like I was in and out because the pain was so excruciating in between from, and I apologize guys, but from my implants, it was all of my weight directly on them also, and it was hard to breathe with all of that too. So
On the hard surface.
Yes.
You being, and then pressure applied, or you being held down?
I wasn't necessarily held down. It was my arm, like I couldn't pull up. And that's what was, because, it was all that
Gotcha.
weight straight down.
What did they use for a heat source?
I don't know. That's what we were trying to process through too. Like, I don't know if there wasn't like an open flame there that I recall.
Now, you mentioned something about a pan.
And the setting
Maybe a
down
piss
and the
pour when
tinging
you're
of
trying
a
to heat something
pan.
up in a pan.
Or
So there
Because
was
if it
fireplace
was-
there, but I think they'd have to walk back and forth.
If it was already, no, if it was already hot, but it would have had to have been heated back up.
and each letter individually. So there are tools, not tools. There are things out there that do that for like certain crafty things.
Suzanne just made a face.
There's certain crafty things that people can do, but if you never saw the object, I don't feel I need to like show you pictures of that.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
That's all I really wanted to talk about it. I felt like I had a good sense of that. I just wanted to make sure for court purposes later, exactly how I can hold the little one accountable as opposed to it just being the big one.
Yeah.
So that's what those questions were for.
I didn't see her specifically touching any items, but I
She
did.
was there.
Yeah, and I did. Yeah.
She did mention to me, because I was thinking, at the fireplace, like one of those heating up for her arm. But she definitely said she was close. I mean, it was.
Yesterday, you were struggling with trying to figure out what that was that did that to your arm.
Yes.
But she did say it was a smaller object, meaning it wasn't like a big long thing poking far away. Didn't you?
Right, like it wasn't
wasn't
like
like a
a fireplace poker. No, it was a smaller.
Screwdriver or something.
Screwdriver.
Yeah,
piece
it
of
was
metal.
something small. I never really actually got a good look at it that I remember, but it was smaller.
And was that hot before they even came into the room?
I'm gonna say yes. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I'm gonna say yes.
Big scheme of things, it was hot.
Yeah.
I think that's it for me.
I know this is redundant,
That's okay.
but I will paraphrase so you can just say yes or no, or say no, Brian, you're wrong. This is it. Having talked with you the last 2 days, having spoke with Keith through Kyle and all that kind of stuff, from the day that you left until the day that you were only at one location to the best of your knowledge, from the time that you got picked up to the time that you were released.
Oh yes.
Because that yes answer is about 50 tips I got to close out. Because you've been seen in Nebraska.
Oh God.
You've been seen in Reno. Okay, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm cleaning up a lot of that crap.
Okay.
Because I have to address each tip, one way or the other.
There was only 2 car rides, a car ride in and a car ride out.
Thank you much for that. To the best of your
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
additionally, and to the best of your knowledge, you don't recall you physically going in to a store of any kind.
No.
You don't recall ever being in the back of a pickup truck.
No.
I know it's stupid.
That's
Brian,
okay.
Brian, you're annoying the shit out of me.
That's okay.
Listen, but it's not, this isn't me.
I
okay?
understand.
I'm addressing the masses.
Okay.
You mentioned that last day you felt you went down 2 steps.
Oh, from the house?
Yes, it was stumbly, so I would love to say 2. There could have been maybe one more because it was stumbly, but I feel like it was steps down. Whether it's 1, 2, 3, not 100% sure because it was very stumbly. But
When you left the house that day, do you recall which way you went out of the door, I presume?
as in, which way did I stumble towards the vehicle?
No, when you left, when you physically left that residence or building that you were in,
Okay.
and you got outside to the steps, you went through a doorway.
To the left,
Did the
to
doorway?
my knowledge. Went
Did
out
the-
of the doorway and stumbled down to the stairs, and then I want to say I'm leaning towards turning left.
Okay. Was the door swinging inward or outward?
I don't have any, I don't know. I never saw that door.
There's reasons for it.
Sure.
Out swinging doors, trailers, and swinging doors, stick houses. If it comes to mind sometime down the road.
Ask me that question again.
Right now,
Yes.
the exterior door to where you were on the day that you left, or even on the day that you went there, do you see the
Did it
door
open
swinging?
into the house or out of the house?
Did the door swing into the house, or did the door swing out from the house?
Don't remember, but I will try that
That's
one.
fine.
When the vehicle left the driveway, did you ever feel that it went left or right from the very first turn out of the residence?
No. No, straight.
So do you
I
remember
mean-
stopping for a gate maybe?
No.
Or just,
Definitely no gate. Definitely no stop. There was a bump very, very early on in the drive, a bump. I don't know whether it didn't feel like a speed bump. It felt like what it would, it didn't feel like a speed bump. It's hard to describe. It's like that you're getting onto pavement.
Roadway edge, or driveway edge, where the road meets the
Yeah,
gravel.
maybe.
Kind of like when Sunrise meets Old Oregon Trail or Paracast.
Yes, yes. Not like I went down a curve or up a curve or a speed bump.
Just a
It
little.
was just, yes.
Just a little ridge.
do you remember which way you turned at that point, or you just kept going straight?
No, it was straight it was straight until I woke up to the turning. Because I remember straight. I remember waking up to that yucky feeling. I remember it being turning. Yes.
Were you in the same position in the back of the car as you were on the, where were you sitting on the back, on the way out?
My head was I believe my head was in the same area as before, but my body was placed differently. The position was placed differently. The chain was very painful. My shoulders fell asleep. It was very difficult to move. Like, I don't know how to end it. It's the end.
Not comfortable.
Yes.
The blog that has surfaced from a while back about the Hispanics, and some thoughts or comments that people are spinning up.
It's
Can we clarify
awful.
some of that stuff?
Yes, and it's awful because there's so much that my family is going through, and it's, I'm sure you guys know everything, and I understand why you have to know everything, but my life wasn't perfect before this. It's just an awful feeling that all of everything and the made up things, it's just a disgusting, yucky feeling of what it's doing to my family.
Well, these are things that will, until we can put them to bed, until we can resolve them, that regardless of how long this case goes, we get people in custody, it's gonna resurface. And so the best way to deal with it is to deal with it on the front end, officially. So that way we can put it to bed. Obviously, people are drawing the conclusions that you're reporting to Hispanics did this. You wrote some, I'm assuming, did you write the blog?
No.
Okay. How did the blog get written or posted under your name? Or do you have any idea?
No, I have no idea.
I
mean, are you guys even familiar with Central Valley High School?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Because, obviously, the blog is written under your maiden name.
I was an athlete.
Right.
I played sports. My parents didn't go to any of my games.
So
there
was never an
doesn't even
incident?
make sense. No, it doesn't. No,
So there's
absolutely
things in
not.
the blog that we can investigate,
Of course.
and we did.
Great.
And we couldn't find any of that stuff.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Stand by.
But there are aspects of it that people can find truth in. So I know you were never in custody, where you spent the night in jail. We talked to your dad. He never recalls any types of fights. I have some school records that don't put you suspended and stuff like that. But the post, obviously, it's showing up on this skinhead website, huge. But it
Didn't people say my head's shaved now too? Sorry.
can't hear all the noise. But it originates from a MySpace account. We call them blogs now, but it's not. It originates from a MySpace account. Have you ever had a MySpace account?
Not that I can remember. I mean, that's.
It's old.
Yeah. No. I mean, I had even the Facebook page that I had was for a very short period of time. It's not for a very long period of time. Yeah.
Prior to all this stuff, have you guys ever seen that blog before? Or ever heard of it?
I've seen
You
it.
just what I'm referring to, right? The
I
one
mean-
about the
I
Latinos
never-
behind her
I-
dad and giving her shit,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff.
I've seen something similar to that.
The one that is out there now, no. There was something similar.
There was something similar, and first thing I asked her, I was like, "The heck is this?" And she said it was fake, just like back then. I was like, "Well, there was a picture," and I didn't. I was like, what is all this about? And we tried to get some lawyer guy to take that photo off because
I've
we don't
been
know how it
trying
got
to
on this
remember his
website.
name for I've been trying to remember his name.
This one hasn't come up. I have no idea what you're talking about. The picture of yours.
There
That's
was a
separate.
photo that I thought somebody was using on this website. Yeah, I can find a photo. It'll take me forever to do it.
I'm just curious.
Is there internet service here? Is there Wi-Fi here?
He's got like a Wi-Fi thing.
Gotcha.
There. But it's not on there. I can never see it. This was years ago.
Yeah, because
And it has nothing, and then, like what you just said, and I am addressing it probably tomorrow, I'm sure it's going to come up when I do my news thing. But like you just said, there's all this fake stuff, and we have no idea, and we haven't ever had an idea on how it was written or formed.
When we had found it, I contacted a lawyer about getting it removed. And they had discussed, this is...
Finding out who created it.
Yes, this needs to be removed. It's obviously not me. And he couldn't get anywhere with getting it removed.
What is it? What is it?
The article that they had.
And-
The one that you guys are talking about.
Is it the Keep Walking, the one titled Keep Walking?
Let me see what you're
Talking about
talking about
something
here.
different.
I know. Well, I want to clarify this because now I'm confused about something else. So,
Yes, this one.
That's the same one we're talking about with the picture, or are we talking about two?
That was the same one, but that one is written differently than what we were talking about. But it was keep walking. I remember that.
How do we start over? I think I'm confused. Are you still there?
You can take it from there.
All right. So the keep walking article, that's the one that's been focused and recently, that is similar to a past thing that you guys dealt with.
Correct.
And then this past one, there's a picture of what?
There's a photo of her when she was very, very young. And it's like she's looking up in the air.
It was like a picture from like the youth conferences, like the church youth conferences I used to do and stuff at school.
But it is a true picture of you, not something that somebody manipulated. It's an old picture that somebody obviously got a hold of.
It was like from like my websites from the church stuff that I used to do.
Okay.
It was like from like almost like I don't want to say a group photo, but it was from a function that I
Gotcha.
had participated in.
And she dealt with it prior to that, even prior before we got together, because somebody brought it to her attention. I think it was MySpace. So I remember, I think I had one for like a month or something. And there's probably a record of it, and she's even saying this is fake even at that point because they're friends. And then one of her best friends even is like, no, this is stupid. So then all these facts are just they don't even apply to her.
Yeah, it was, I'm trying to remember how MySpace even worked. But I want to say it was like somebody, because I was doing a lot of like church functions and youth functions and conferences and things like that, and someone had posted it somewhere. I'm trying to remember how it even worked. And it was sent to my best friend, as in, look at your friend, and both my friend and I had defended against it.
Is that Jennifer?
Correct, yes.
So bottom line, it's even more elaborate now, it appears. I don't remember it because it was so long ago.
People are trying to spin it off as that this is the catalyst for what happened to you.
No, and
I'm trying to shut that
a
down.
week before that, I did it for the money, I think, and I'll address this. Yeah. So
That's why we're here.
Hey, remember yesterday we talked about some things that were going to be hard?
Yeah.
That are going to irritate
well,
you?
this is where.
And that's where this is hard for me, because
I have to deal with all this dumb thing, but.
So
500 tips.
yeah, I wasn't that. You know what? I
Yeah.
wasn't a perfect person before this, and that's.
But what do you
all this
mean by
crap,
that?
you
So
know?
what do you mean by that?
I skipped school and,
Ran away?
did dumb kid stuff. And I had a really, really shitty relationship with my parents, excuse my vulgar language. And I lived at the Heart Center for a long time. I stayed in my high school gym at some times. I mean,
It's hard for her when she started talking about this and hearing that kind of stuff. Is like when she got her CCW and they ran her like fingerprints or whatever, and they were like, "What's this breaking and entering charge?" And she was really hurt by that, and she was confused. And then I remember she was telling me the story, and she asked them, "Well, what's the address?" And it was her home address because her parents called the cops on her for breaking into her home.
for opening the back door to get my basketball shoes
So
for
when
a
she's
basketball
reminded of her,
tournament.
like,
If that gives you any
childhood.
indication of my childhood with my parents.
We read it.
And that's why the whole time we're like, I don't know, they're still calling up.
your parents in our office didn't get off on the right foot on day one of this anyway, so I hear you.
I have zero desire whatsoever to even see them right now, and I find that to be very odd.
But there's a problem before, too.
A huge
Right.
problem.
You guys heard the voice.
And that's something I thought about a lot too, because it was my aunts and my sister and my mom and my dad. You read it.
Okay. So if you remember, what are the main differences from the blog that we have a copy of, the blog we're reading now, as opposed to the old one you guys were dealing with?
He's trying to keep me away from that, so you have to keep.
What's the main difference if you remember?
I feel like it's everything.
I don't remember. I don't remember what I said before or now, except for it looks way longer. The one that I came across when we got back together, that had the little photo, was like a paragraph long. It seems like the last one that I just now recently seen is like it's been added to and stuff. And the other one that I saw, I don't think it had anything with, it even said Latino in the whole entire thing. I think it said something like gangs or something like that. That was so long ago, and I've never seen a copy. It was, again, it was brought to us, and I think I had a MySpace for a little while. I think that's how I came up, or maybe I just did a Google search or something when somebody mentioned, like, what the heck is this?
Do you remember what lawyer you went through to try to get that cleaned up?
And that's what I'm trying to remember for you guys.
It should be an email.
It was like years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I really don't remember. If you gave me like a list of lawyers in Reading, I might be able to pick his name out, because it seems like it was ethnic to me in some way.
I just remember, like I told you, and since we're all here in a safe room or whatever, I remember I was like, this is weird. What is this? It's fake. I have no idea. I had to deal with this a while back. She told me with her friend Jennifer. We don't know what it is. We don't know if somebody created it to be mean to me through or used to use stuff. We don't know. And I remember I was like, cool, get rid of it. And that was at the time I was like, let's get your credit up, let's get, all this kind of stuff. And I remember,
one more thing to the
I was
file.
like, this is weird. And I was like, where did they pull this picture from? And it's like black and white picture too. It's a really odd photo. And that's why I said I haven't seen it, so I don't even know. And then I don't know when the article, the one that I was shown, was written in 2007.
That's what this one's date stamped.
Okay. Which the one that we were talking about was, we got together in 2005?
5 or 6.
And it was, that was the time that I saw it. So that's why I'm saying this one is like different. I don't know, it's been altered or changed on whatever website that came from.
No, just give us something else to do. Hope we don't have anything else going on.
Yeah.
Right?
Let's see here. I couldn't tell you the differences. The main thing that points out to me is the paper you showed that long, and the one I remember is like this tiny, and it had a little photo.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're just talking about it.
And to be honest, if it is something, I don't care. I mean, I'm just saying, telling you, if it was something that was authentic and that was convictions that you held back then, okay, it is what it is. We all have our convictions and stuff that we hold inside. Okay, but I mean that's where I'm at. I don't.
It's 2016.
It is what it is. But so. We'll add that onto the list of follow-up and hopefully get that resolved and see if we can't get it removed as well.
That would be wonderful.
I like the latest one I heard that it's Rodriguez. You heard that one?
Well, that's the thing is, why did this all happen? And that's what everyone's asking for.
No, we're asking that same exact question.
You've already addressed the fact. I mean, obviously, everyone believes it's a sex trafficking thing, and I think you kind of touched on that. There was no point. There was no sexual connotation with anything with you that you recall, right?
No. And Keith and I were trying to process through that as well. I'm not a virgin, obviously. So I feel like even if I, you're welcome. Even if I
didn't know.
Even if I would have been asleep, I would have felt it. I would have felt it, and that's something that was. It was excruciatingly terrifying. Waking up every day, I would do that check.
Right.
Nope, that doesn't hurt.
Right.
Nope, that doesn't hurt.
Right.
I never felt that, ever.
And obviously, based upon efforts and tactics that have been deployed in the last 3 weeks, it doesn't seem that there's a financial reason behind it. I mean, you'd think somebody would have
Not for.
taken some people's off, right?
I
But
mean, if you want me to guess, I mean, I don't have any clue other than she looks very young, which is, running, so possible sex trafficking. Oh, wow, you're 34 or whatever.
did they ask you how old you were?
No,
Did they ask you anything specific about you?
no.
And the only thing that they even inquired of you was things that sounds like they either heard or read or saw via the media, right?
I would say yes.
One thing you didn't talk about that you told me, maybe you did and I wasn't listening, but you said they would say, oh, they think you ran away.
Right.
And then that it's law enforcement that paid us to get you or
They
something.
would say that as they were shutting the door. Yeah, they would say, well, I don't want to say they, it was always
Or
the
the buyer.
bigger one. It was always the bigger one would like say things as she was walking away, or like the only time she ever really spoke on top of me was when she was cutting my hair right here. But yeah, she would say things as she was walking away. It was that
Right.
I can still like hear that huffy, like I don't know how to tell you other than it that huffy, shitty
Right.
kind of.
Aloof, smart ass.
Thank you. Yes.
Didn't you say you heard him say stuff like he doesn't want you to hurt her or something like that?
It's difficult to say that specifically because it wasn't English, but I feel like yes, because of her body language, because of the emotions that she used, and holding her back. The one time that she actually did hold her back, that's the pieces that I'm putting together for myself. Whether that's true or not, I'm not sure. It's just based on my interpretation of like body language and things like that. I'm trying, you said try and be specific as possible, so I'm trying to be specific for you.
Ish is always good, all right?
Ish. Ish.
Okay, yes.
All right. I'm sure I have other things I'll think about, but we can adjourn and deal with that stuff later.
And I can still hear like phrases, but I don't speak Spanish, so I just rattle off what kind of sounds,
Right.
would even kind of sound like it.
And that could be misinterpreted.
Yeah, because I even took a moment and tried to look up a couple of words online, but I don't know how to spell
Right.
them. I don't even know if I'm saying it right.
Yep.
And they talk so fast.
It's a love language.
So frustrating. Yeah.
Questions for Kyle or I?
Any question? We're on the table.
What do you guys think?
I think there's some sick sons of bitches out there.
Well, I think we all agree on that.
And I think
Do you
there's
think it
lots.
was mistaken identity? Do you think it
I
was
think
opportunist?
there's lots of points that prove different aspects of this. So them always hiding their face shows an end game of you either possibly getting away or you possibly being let go. If I know in my heart prior to an incident, if I'm gonna kill you or something like that, I wouldn't necessarily
Wouldn't matter.
care. Like
Yeah.
if you saw me.
Matter.
But because they always took those steps to hide, to always hide their faces, to never, like always be in the room and different aspects of that, it shows their intentions from the very beginning. Whatever those intentions are, whatever they meant to prove by this, we'll never truly know until we talk to them. And that's gonna be the most frustrating part for you, for us, for society in general. Because at the end of the day, this is everybody's worst nightmare. And everybody doesn't like to hear that and doesn't want to realize that. But and the people in this room, the people at our office, this is law enforcement's worst nightmare. It's your worst nightmare because you lived it. It's family's worst nightmare. It's society's worst nightmare that there are these people out there who did this.
So I spoke with FBI at length yesterday. Their BAU folks and several other folks, and I'll funnel them some information and try to figure out with the information that she's provided, with the evidence that they have, that we have, that we're all sharing, to try to get a, I don't want to use the word profile, because it's misused a lot, to try to figure out.
Is this what you were talking about yesterday with, like, what did you say, behavioral analysis or something?
Yeah. So that stuff's going on. Sitting here, I got 3 emails from them. Was this a preseason run for somebody? I mean, see how far they could get before they do something else. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that.
And was this?
I have plenty of theories, but we don't need to share theories. I'm tired of that.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, because that's, she doesn't know about this. I know you guys do, but there's a, I think it's called Fish Mountain, Fish Hill, whatever you want to call it. And you can see, and then they told you what they found up there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of weird to me. But again, that's again a theory and it goes nowhere. But I just thought that was a little odd. The fact that they passed, you know, I'm sure you asked, but I couldn't recall if they were going like 50 miles an hour or if they were like going 20 and then they backed up, like they were looking or something.
And there was no screeching tires or anything, so I don't think it was very fast. Because people generally drive fast on that road. I don't think so.
Vehicles? Oh yeah, or no?
We can.
I
Are
doubt
they like in a series, or are they just off the surveillance?
They're just off the surveillance every dark
Are they snapshots?
type. Yeah.
Do you want to look at? We have surveillance from your neighborhood that captured a bunch of vehicles.
And it's only 50% because it's only everything. I'm not going to tell you which side because it's only 50%. It's only one way. The car that we have. So there's only one way we have surveillance. We don't have it the opposite way.
Yeah, it's just surveillance in the area nearby where you were picked up. And it has tons of cars, but we've gone through it.
I thought about that too.
And looked
in the
at
room. It was because I watched those shows. I'm like, there's. I see it on the shows.
But there's several vehicles.
That's how they find them.
And that's how we find them once we have an idea of what we're looking for.
Right.
And what we're looking for is none of these. We don't have any information at this time that any of these vehicles we're going to show you are the vehicle. You understand that?
Okay.
There's still an option that it went the complete opposite way.
Is it just to roll in or out one direction?
Well, what I'm looking for is when you look at these vehicles, that kind of looks like the car, or that's definitely not the car. That type of stuff.
Got it.
Or if you see, holy shit, that's the vehicle, that's fine too.
Okay.
But I'm not looking for you to guess. It's just, hey, here's the cars in the area. Does these look familiar? Does this ring a bell? Is this something we're looking at?
See, this is one of those times where like my body is uncontrollably shaking and I feel okay, but it's doing it anyway.
If you don't want to do it today, we can do it later.
But we don't want you to feel discouraged because it's not there either. Because there's plenty of tools that we are still doing.
This is the last thing that's discouraging me. I feel discouraged as a whole, so it's okay. I don't want to say discouraged, I want to say angry. That's been so, I feel like, helpful to feel that way. I feel like it's been better than the shaky, crying, upset.
It's vindication almost.
It feels better.
Mm-hmm.
I think that tummy medication is helping a lot too.
Have you guys seen your doctor?
Thursday's gonna come up.
Do you have anything on your end or for your office? For them?
No, not right now. We did get because Kyle filled out the last form we needed, we got your application scanned into our system on the confidential line. And so as soon as there's any bills to be paid, those will get paid right away.
There's lots of that one, but this big one for whatever reason.
And that'll even include things like your doctor, like your aftercare visits from your doctor and things like that. It's not just hospital bills.
Maybe come with me to the restroom. Maybe the shaking will go away a little bit if I use the restroom really quick.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Susan.
No.
I thought there was.
It probably went like 4 times.
Yeah, I kept on like, I thought maybe it was like a bird fly by. Shit.
There's somewhere.
I thought that you might have seen it on the floor over here when you like looked that way and you kind of like smile a little bit. That was.
I thought I've seen it somewhere. I thought maybe I was just losing my mind.
No, well, the first time I thought it was the lizard, but I've seen it go up and down a couple times.
Time right now is 14:38 hours. What's that? Oh.
Anything stick out?
Just like a
Yeah, there was a couple that kinda, it's the window, really.
suburban, extended Yukon, that type of rear shape.
But I still feel like those tires isn't a no.
Hello?
Like a raised sort of situation, isn't it?
This is him.
I'm gonna go off the screen. It's now 13:45.
All right, I will be back shortly with the next episode. Thank you again for listening, and until next time, sweet dreams.